With public approval falling and membership at a 70-year low, private unions are trying to bolster their image. The AFL-CIO is spending $1.5 million on a new ad campaign. Take a look.
I know what work is. Work is what shakes us awake every morning and knocks us out every night. Work is what we do to better ourselves, to support our families, our towns, our cities, our country. It's the initials.
So, will these ads help repair the image of unions? Let's ask our power players. We have Bernard Whitman, Connie DeGroot, and George Jarkisay. Good to see you all. George, first to you. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that the dollars spent behind it are very much compared to what they could spend. The other thing is I think that the American citizen is so much more informed now with social media and with the internet that their message is going to have to get more clear how it affects Americans.
And Bernard, it's kind of a soft defense of unions, don't you think?
David, I have to say there's a problem with this in many respects. First is this ad fails to capitalize on the real anger and frustration that the Occupy Wall Street movement tapped into. What the union needed to do here was explain how they could be the viable voice for the worker, help protect the worker, make sure that their voice is heard, make sure that they get a fair wage. And they failed to do that. They were very soft. And frankly, the ad could easily be for a right-to-work campaign rather than a union campaign.
Well, really right-to-work ads are much stronger than this one.
They need to tap into that anger, tap into that frustration, and get across the point that unions are the way that workers can ensure that their voice can be heard in this process. Unfortunately, this ad failed to do that.
Well, but Connie, the problem is that people are conflicted or anti-union out there. We're talking about a primary coming up in South Carolina where we saw the NLRB, the government working together with the unions to try to kick Boeing out of South Carolina. I mean, there's a lot of anger and questioning about what the unions are doing, whether it's helpful or harmful.
I think it's just really simple. It's the unions are in a lot of jobs. The workers are getting much more than in the private sector. I think the unions are the unions' worst enemy, because if they are not competitive with their price or what they're offering, then ultimately, one day, they're not going to exist. And look what's happened with the auto unions. So I think they need to get real, and they need to look at the global market, and they need to make their workers better if they're going to, cost more and more competitive. That's really what they want to do if they want to protect workers and workers' rights.
All right. And, George, the anger out there and the frustration that the Tea Party certainly tapped into, I mean, people say in the media and so forth that the Occupy Wall Street tapped into the same. I see that as such a diffused movement. I don't see that as having any center that has any pull anymore. Do you?
No, I don't. I think that part of the agitation with the general public, with the unions is, the unions go back to a period of time where you had the robber barons. You got this idea of this wealthy guy behind controlling all the strings and holding down the working man.
You sound like Newt talking about Mitt Romney.
Yeah, no. Those days are gone. The companies that have unions, employees, are owned by shareholders, and those shareholders might get a 3%, 4%, 5% dividend. And so I think that the unions have to appeal to joining forces with the companies and fighting what's hurt the companies, which is over-government regulation, and make the companies more competitive on a worldwide scale.
Guys, because my stomach is growling so loudly that I think my microphone is picking up the sounds, I have to go to this next segment before we go. We want to switch gears to this question. If you want a burger and fries but don't want to leave home, would you be willing to pay extra for them? Burger King may have the answer, testing home delivery at 4 restaurants in the D.C. area. But Whoppers aren't pizza, so is this a smart business move? Connie, you're spending, say you have a bill of $8 for these burgers. You have a $2 fee. Then you want to tip the guy something, at least $1, if not $2. So your costs are 50% above just walking out and buying it.
It's not worth it. And also, you can go to a restaurant maybe around the corner and get something similar but far superior, more nutritious. So I think the whole thing behind fast food is people got it on the go, or a lot of people that can't afford much. At that, $3 to get a meal, okay, that makes sense. But $10, $12, then you start to compete with other businesses. So I don't think it's going to work.
George, are you buying it? Are you buying the takeout of Burger King?
You know, I might buy it in areas like New York where your customers concentrated. The problem that Burger King has when you compare it to Domino's is Domino's operates on about a 28% margin, where Burger King operates on about a 13% margin.
Right.
So if you've got bigger orders, if you've got a lot of smaller orders, that $2 fee could really add up. But if it's in bigger orders, they're not going to catch up.
I think from a business perspective, it absolutely could make sense because we have become such a instant gratification culture. We get everything delivered. You can get books delivered immediately, same day. We get tickets delivered right away. You can get food delivered. And I think from a business perspective, if they can figure out how to deliver on the taste expectations, the flavor expectations, then it could be a winner and help them take a bite out of McDonald's. But from a public health perspective, I think the last thing we need to do is make it easier to deliver a 1,000 calorie plus meal right to your living room couch without even having to get up.
Well,
I mean, at least if you have to get up and walk to your car, to get in your car and sit there to the drive-through lane and then get up and eat it in your house.
I'm going to force you to sit in a room
there
with Paula Dean's show on air all the time, 24/7, and just see what happens. Good to see you all. We got to leave it at that.